Have you ever felt like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, a burden that doesn't quite feel like your own? What if I told you that burden might be generational trauma, passed down through your family line, and that understanding its connection to quantum consciousness could be the key to unlocking profound healing and freedom? In this video, we'll explore the fascinating intersection of spirituality and quantum physics, revealing how these seemingly disparate fields can illuminate the path to forgiving your family and breaking free from the chains of the past. The quest for understanding consciousness has been a central theme in philosophy and spirituality for millennia. From the ancient wisdom traditions of the East to the philosophical inquiries of the West, thinkers have grappled with the nature of awareness, its origins, and its relationship to the physical world. In Hinduism, the concept of Brahman, the ultimate reality, is often described as pure consciousness, the ground of all being. Similarly, in Buddhism, the emphasis on mindfulness and meditation aims to cultivate a direct experience of consciousness, free from the distortions of the ego. These traditions see consciousness not as a mere byproduct of brain activity, but as a fundamental aspect of reality, a view that resonates with some interpretations of quantum physics. In Western philosophy, figures like René Descartes famously declared, "I think, therefore I am," establishing consciousness as a primary foundation of existence. Later, philosophers like Immanuel Kant explored the role of consciousness in shaping our experience of the world, arguing that our minds actively structure and organize sensory input. While these philosophical inquiries laid the groundwork for understanding consciousness, they remained largely separate from the scientific study of the physical world until the advent of quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics, born in the early 20th century, revolutionized our understanding of the universe at its most fundamental level. Physicists like Max Planck, Niels Bohr, and Werner Heisenberg discovered that the classical laws of physics, which had governed our understanding of the macroscopic world, broke down at the subatomic level. Instead, they found a world of probabilities, uncertainties, and interconnectedness, where particles could exist in multiple states simultaneously and where observation itself seemed to influence the outcome of experiments. This departure from classical physics opened up new possibilities for exploring the relationship between consciousness and the physical world. One of the most intriguing concepts in quantum mechanics is the observer effect, which suggests that the act of observing a quantum system can alter its behavior. This has led some physicists and philosophers to speculate that consciousness may play a more fundamental role in the universe than previously imagined. For example, the physicist John Archibald Wheeler proposed the participatory universe concept, suggesting that observers are not merely passive spectators, but active participants in bringing the universe into being. While this idea remains highly debated, it highlights the potential for a deeper connection between consciousness and the fabric of reality. Another key concept is quantum entanglement, where two particles become linked in such a way that they share the same fate, regardless of the distance separating them. This seemingly instantaneous connection has been interpreted by some as evidence of a non-local consciousness, a consciousness that is not limited by space and time. While the implications of quantum entanglement for consciousness are still being explored, it suggests the possibility of interconnectedness that extends beyond our ordinary understanding of the physical world. The exploration of consciousness has also found a place in modern psychology and neuroscience. Researchers are using advanced brain imaging techniques to study the neural correlates of consciousness, identifying the brain regions and neural processes that are associated with different states of awareness. While these studies have provided valuable insights into the workings of the brain, they have not yet fully explained the subjective experience of consciousness, the what it's like aspect that philosophers call qualia. The intersection of spirituality and quantum consciousness offers a unique lens through which to understand generational trauma. Generational trauma refers to the psychological and emotional wounds that are passed down from one generation to the next. These wounds can manifest in various ways, including anxiety, depression, addiction, relationship problems, and a general sense of unease or disconnection. Often, individuals who are carrying generational trauma are not even aware of its origins, as the trauma has been embedded in their family's patterns of behavior, beliefs, and communication styles. Imagine a family that has experienced significant loss or hardship, such as war, famine, or displacement. The trauma of these events can be deeply ingrained in the family's psyche, leading to a pervasive sense of fear, scarcity, or mistrust. These feelings can then be passed down to subsequent generations, even if they have not directly experienced the original trauma. For example, a child growing up in a family where the parents or grandparents survived a war may inherit a heightened sense of anxiety or a tendency to hoard resources, even if there is no objective reason to do so. The concept of quantum entanglement can offer a metaphorical framework for understanding how generational trauma is transmitted. Just as entangled particles are interconnected regardless of distance, family members may be linked through shared emotional and psychological patterns, even if they are not consciously aware of these connections. The trauma experienced by one generation can create a ripple effect, influencing the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of subsequent generations. Furthermore, the idea of non-local consciousness suggests that our individual consciousness may be part of a larger, interconnected field of awareness. This field could potentially carry the collective memories and experiences of our ancestors, influencing our own perceptions and behaviors. While this is a speculative idea, it aligns with the growing body of research on epigenetics, which shows that environmental factors can alter gene expression and that these changes can be passed down to future generations. Epigenetics provides a biological mechanism through which trauma can be transmitted across generations, even in the absence of direct exposure to the traumatic event. One of the most powerful tools for healing generational trauma is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about condoning the actions of those who have caused harm, but rather about releasing the emotional burden of anger, resentment, and bitterness. When we hold on to these negative emotions, we become trapped in the past, unable to move forward and create a better future for ourselves and our families. Forgiveness allows us to break free from the cycle of trauma and create new patterns of behavior and belief. Forgiving your family, especially those who have caused you pain, can be a challenging process. It requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to let go of the stories that have defined your identity. It also requires a deep understanding of the forces that have shaped your family's history and a recognition that your ancestors may have been acting out of their own pain and trauma. One approach to forgiveness is to practice empathy. Try to understand the experiences and perspectives of your family members, even if you do not agree with their actions. Consider the challenges they faced, the traumas they endured, and the limited resources they had available to them. This does not excuse their behavior, but it can help you to see them as human beings who were doing the best they could with what they had. Another helpful technique is to engage in somatic experiencing, a form of therapy that focuses on releasing trauma from the body. Trauma can become stored in the body as tension, pain, or other physical symptoms. Somatic experiencing helps you to access these stored emotions and release them in a safe and controlled way. This can be a powerful way to heal the physical and emotional wounds of generational trauma. Meditation and mindfulness practices can also be valuable tools for forgiveness. By cultivating a state of present moment awareness, you can learn to observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment. This allows you to detach from the negative emotions associated with past traumas and to cultivate a sense of inner peace and acceptance. Personal transformation stories abound, illustrating the profound impact of understanding and healing generational trauma. Consider the story of a woman named Sarah, who grew up in a family marked by alcoholism and abuse. As a child, she witnessed her parents struggling with addiction and often felt neglected and unloved. As she grew older, she found herself repeating the same patterns of behavior, struggling with her own substance abuse issues and engaging in unhealthy relationships. It wasn't until Sarah began to explore her family history that she realized she was carrying the weight of generational trauma. She learned that her grandparents had also struggled with alcoholism and that her family had a long history of emotional dysfunction. This realization helped her to understand that her own struggles were not simply the result of her own choices, but were also influenced by the traumas of her ancestors. Sarah began working with a therapist who specialized in generational trauma. Through therapy, she was able to process her childhood experiences, release the negative emotions associated with her family history, and develop healthier coping mechanisms. She also began practicing forgiveness, both towards her parents and towards herself. Over time, Sarah was able to break free from the cycle of addiction and abuse and create a more fulfilling and meaningful life for herself. Another example is the story of a man named David, who grew up in a family that had survived the Holocaust. His parents and grandparents had endured unimaginable suffering in concentration camps, and they carried the emotional scars of these experiences throughout their lives. David grew up with a deep sense of anxiety and a constant fear that something terrible would happen to him or his family. As David learned more about the Holocaust and the impact of trauma on survivors, he began to understand the origins of his own anxiety. He realized that he was carrying the collective trauma of his family and that he needed to find a way to heal these wounds. David began attending support groups for children of Holocaust survivors, where he was able to connect with others who had similar experiences. He also engaged in therapy, where he learned to process his emotions and develop healthier coping strategies. Through this process, David was able to release the fear and anxiety that had plagued him for so long. He learned to live in the present moment and to appreciate the good things in his life. He also became an advocate for Holocaust education, sharing his family's story with others in the hope of preventing such atrocities from happening again. While the connection between quantum physics and consciousness remains a subject of ongoing debate, there are several evidence-based theories that attempt to bridge the gap between these two fields. One of the most prominent is the Orko-R theory, developed by physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. This theory proposes that consciousness arises from quantum computations occurring within microtubules, tiny structures inside brain neurons. According to the Orko-R theory, microtubules act as quantum computers, processing information at a subatomic level. These quantum computations are then amplified and integrated into conscious experience. The theory also suggests that consciousness is not limited to the brain, but can exist in other systems that are capable of quantum computation. While the Orko-R theory has been met with skepticism by some scientists, it has also generated considerable interest in research. Studies have shown that microtubules exhibit quantum properties, such as quantum entanglement and superposition. However, the question of whether these quantum properties are actually involved in consciousness remains a subject of debate. Another theory that attempts to connect quantum physics and consciousness is the Integrated Information Theory (IIT), developed by neuroscientist Giulio Tononi. IIT proposes that consciousness is directly related to the amount of integrated information that a system possesses. Integrated information refers to the degree to which a system is both differentiated, containing many distinct elements, and integrated with those elements connected and influencing each other. According to IIT, any system that possesses a sufficient amount of integrated information is conscious, regardless of its physical structure. This means that consciousness could potentially exist in computers, robots, or even simple physical systems. While IIT is a complex and controversial theory, it provides a framework for understanding consciousness in terms of information processing, which is a concept that is also central to quantum physics. Recent scientific discoveries have also shed light on the relationship between consciousness and the brain. Studies using advanced brain imaging techniques, such as fMRI and EEG, have identified specific brain regions and neural networks that are associated with different states of consciousness. For example, researchers have found that the prefrontal cortex plays a crucial role in self-awareness and decision-making, while the posterior parietal cortex is involved in spatial awareness and attention. These studies have also shown that consciousness is not a unitary phenomenon, but rather a collection of different processes that are integrated and coordinated by the brain. This suggests that there may be different levels or types of consciousness, ranging from basic sensory awareness to higher-level cognitive functions. Despite these advances, there are still many limitations to our current knowledge of consciousness. We do not yet fully understand how the brain generates subjective experience, nor do we know whether consciousness is limited to biological systems. The hard problem of consciousness, which refers to the difficulty of explaining how physical processes give rise to subjective experience, remains one of the biggest challenges in science. The exploration of spirituality and quantum consciousness has significant implications for our understanding of the world and our place in it. On a practical level, it can inform new approaches to healing and personal growth. By understanding the interconnectedness of all things and the potential for quantum-level transformation, we can empower ourselves to overcome limiting beliefs, heal emotional wounds, and create a more fulfilling and meaningful life. The insights from quantum physics can also inform our understanding of consciousness-based technologies, such as brain-computer interfaces and neurofeedback. These technologies have the potential to enhance our cognitive abilities, improve our mental health, and even allow us to communicate directly with machines. As we continue to explore the relationship between consciousness and technology, it is important to consider the ethical implications of these advancements and to ensure that they are used for the benefit of all humanity. Culturally, the exploration of spirituality and quantum consciousness is contributing to a growing sense of interconnectedness and global awareness. As we realize that we are all part of a larger, interconnected system, we become more likely to act in ways that are beneficial to the planet and to each other. This can lead to a more sustainable and equitable world, where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Emerging trends in this field include the development of new technologies for measuring and manipulating consciousness, as well as the integration of spiritual practices into mainstream healthcare. As we continue to learn more about the nature of consciousness, we can expect to see even more innovative approaches to healing, personal growth, and technological advancement. So, as we come to the end of this exploration into the fascinating world of spirituality and quantum consciousness, I want to leave you with a few final reflections. The journey of healing generational trauma is a profound one, a journey that requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. By understanding the interconnectedness of all things and the potential for quantum-level transformation, you can empower yourself to break free from the chains of the past and create a brighter future for yourself and your family. Consider these questions. What patterns of behavior or belief have you inherited from your family? How might these patterns be influencing your life today? What steps can you take to forgive your family and release the emotional burden of the past? Remember, forgiveness is not about condoning the actions of others, but about freeing yourself from the grip of anger and resentment. The path to healing generational trauma is not always easy, but it is a path that is worth taking. As you embark on this journey, remember that you are not alone. There are many resources available to support you, including therapists, support groups, and spiritual communities. Embrace the power of forgiveness, cultivate compassion, and trust in your own innate capacity for healing. And finally, if you found this video insightful, please give it a like and share it with someone who might benefit from this information. Subscribe to my channel for more content on spirituality, consciousness, and personal growth. And don't forget to leave a comment below sharing your thoughts and experiences with generational trauma and forgiveness. Your insights can help others on their own healing journeys. Thank you for watching.